17th of November, Rabbi Furst, Mishna Berura.
Okay, good morning again. This is Rabbi Shlomo Furst here, Yeshiva Samanavshi here in Shloim Care Zoom. This is our second shir in the morning. We're learning Mishna Berura, Hilchos Hanukah, Siman Taf Reish Ayin Aleph. And we're now in the Sif Dalit, Taf Reish Ayin Aleph, Sif Dalit in the Ramah. Right? We have here some practical halachas in terms of the configuration of the menorah and how the neros, the lights, should be arranged properly according to halacha. Sometimes you see many artsy, modern menorah designs, but they may not be very halachically authentic. It might be very nice, and but in terms of fulfilling your obligation properly, they may not be the best choice. So if you see a really nice menorah that catches your eye because it's unique design, you should decide if it meets the legal ramifications and parameters as well. Okay. Yeah, Lou, I guess if you would like to, we're in Sif Dalet here. Look at the Ramah. We did the Machaber yesterday, so look at the Ramah. L'chein yesh lizaher. You have it there?
Yeah. L'chein yesh lizaher l'ha'amir haneros.
La'amid. That's la'amid the neros, to set up the neros.
L'ha'amid haneros. And therefore, there is a reason to be careful that the neros are standing.
To set them up. Now you should set the neros up in the following way.
Set up the neros. Bishura. What's Bishura?
That's in a line, in a row.
In a row. Bishava velo beigul. Equal and not. What's igul?
Igul's like in a circle, or like in a crescent.
Okay, so in a line where they're equal and not in a circle.
Right.
Dehave kimedura. What's kimedura?
Medura is a little like a torch.
That it should be like a torch.
It should not be like a torch. You want it to be. You want that all the lights of the menorah are arranged in a straight row, right? So that you can see each light individually, and it shouldn't be like in a circle that it would have the appearance of a torch. All the flames coming together at one point.
Okay, Hagahon mi moni b'shem siman kuf. What is Hagahon?
That's the Hagos Maimonides. That's the source of the halacha here, right? B'shem this smag, safe mitzvahs katan. That's the reference.
Okay. Umutar lehadlik bifamotos shekorin le amafa, and it is permitted to light bifamotos. I don't know.
It's permitted to light bipumutos. That's those are like candlesticks, if I'm not mistaken.
Candlesticks, as opposed to oil.
Yeah.
The shekorin What is shikorin?
They're called,
They're called la'amfa. La'amfa is Old French.
yeah, lamp, like lamp from the same word as lamp. They're like lamps. Lamp.
Okay. So it's permissible to use candlesticks instead of oil.
Right.
Me achar shekol ner muvdal harbe me chavero. And afterwards, after all of the candles, what's muvdal?
That the candle should be moved ma'acher, since shekol ner muvdal harbe mechavero. And each light is separate, is very separate from its other one, from its friend, literally its friend.
Since every light is separate from its friend, it's very separate from its friend.
Right.
Okay, and then we have a reference. The Yiza Heru Kishe Osim Neros Afilu Bisha'ava. So since each light is separate from the other lights, we should be careful to place the candles even if they're equal.
Right. Since it says here, Vizara, you should be careful because Osim Neros, I feel of a shiva is wax. You should be careful even when you're making the lights from wax, right?
Oh, she'ein lahadlik beyachad.
Ledavkan, biyachad.
Oh, she'ein ledavka biyachad ula hadlikan. That you're not specifically lighting them individually.
You should be careful when you're making the lights from wax. Don't join them all together. Don't join the wax candles together and to light them because then it will be like a torch.
Like a torch. I'm not following the flow here. We said that since they're all separate, we should be careful when replacing ones that are made of wax that we don't light them all together like a torch.
Right. Don't join them all together. Don't melt all the wax candles together and light them together as a torch. That you cannot do.
But I would think since they're very separate, we don't have to worry about that.
But they're not separate enough. If you melt the wax candles together, they won't be separate enough. It'll look like a torch.
So it should say afilu instead of me'achar. It should say afilu.
No, it's telling you don't do this, since if you do, right, it's going to look like a torch.
But it says since they're very separate.
No, if there are two cases. There are wax candles. There are wax candles that are kept separate, that are made with where you use the candlesticks, right? If you light with candlesticks, you're okay because they're separate. And then if you're going to use wax candles, make sure you don't melt the wax candles together because they'll be stuck together and they'll be too close and it'll look like a torch.
Okay.
It's the opposite of a Havdalah candle.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Very good. Yeah.
Afilu beneros shel Shabbat. Even with the Shabbos candles, the Yom Tov and the Yom Tov candles, Yizaharu, we're careful, Shalo la'asos kain, do not do it this way. Meaning to not melt them together.
Right. Right. You must be careful not to melt them together. You're going to have big problems if you melt the wax candles together. They're too close.
Okay. What do you want me to do now?
Right. Mr. Berura in Sif Cotton, Test Vav. Sif Cotton Test Vav in the Mr. Berura.
Okay, Mishna Berura. Tesvav. Mishna Berura. Tesvav. Melashon zeh da'afilu lama hadrin ha'osin ner l'chol echad. Okay, so from this language, even if you're going to be strict, to place the candles, each one, to place each candle, Gam Kain Yoil Zeh Lishnei B'nei Adam. Gam Kain also.
And I'm sorry that misled you. That test vav that you're reading is from the Shard Siyum. That's the you need a larger test vav, which is further down the page.
Oh, sorry. Oh, Tesva Bishura Bishava.
Right, in a straight line. They should be in all the candles of the menorah should be arranged to be in a straight line.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem. It's okay.
I always get confused. I've got so many things in parentheses.
Yeah, it takes
There's
a
a
little.
million of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Hayinu Shela'asos Echad Nichnas Ve'echad. They are that they're placed one next to the other.
Right.
Yotze Gam Kain, he fulfills in this way, Eino Kedai. It's not proper. So what is it now? It's saying if they're placed one next to the other, and he wants to fulfill it in this way, it's not proper. That doesn't work.
Right. It says "La'asos echad kanes echad yotze gam kein ene kedai." Right. That meaning if you put one, like if just to use as an illustration, if you have your chessboard and your first line are your pawns, right? So you have one pawn out and one pawn in, one pawn out, one pawn in, right? So
Yeah.
if you arrange your narrows of Hanukah that way too, one in, one out, it's also not kedai to do it that way either.
But this seems to be saying you put them right next to each other.
Yeah, they are. The pawns right next to each other also, but they're in different. Well, some are more forward and some are further back.
Okay. Shelo yavo la'asos be'igul. That they should. What?
If you do it this way, you might come to do it in a circle. Meaning, if you're already so really, you should really keep the arrangement and the coordination of the narrows should be unimplied and should be in a true straight row, not in a two-dimensional row.
So you're putting them in a straight line in order to make sure that you don't make a mistake and put them in a circle.
Right. That's what it says.
Oh, so that the other day we were talking about placing them in a dish around the dish.
Right.
So that's not acceptable, right? I mean,
Right. That's really not acceptable. Correct. That's a little bit. You might be able, according to the Mechaber, you might fulfill your obligation if you put a plate over it. If you put plates over it, then it apparently looks like many people lighting, but still the Mechaber is not concerned so much about this appearing like a circle. That's not the Mechaber is not concerned. According to the Ramah, he's concerned about that. So we shouldn't do that according to the.
okay.
Yeah.
Dehave kimadura. That'll be like a circle.
Right. It'll turn out that way. You could make eventually them to be like a circle or a crescent.
Ve'im yesh hefsek mechitza bein ner lener, and if there is an interruption from a barrier between a candle and a candle, ukarochav etzba be nehem. What's karochav?
If it's going to be between each light, the distance of a width of a finger. Etzba is a finger, and rochav is the width of a finger. The width of a finger is width.
The width of a finger between them.
You have to be You have to be careful with the children, and the grandchildren. They come home very proudly with these menorahs that they make in Gan or in school or in the Talmud Torah or the Cheder, wherever they come home with these proud little menorahs that they make, and you're supposed to put the wax candles in them, right? So number one, first and foremost, you have to make sure it's not a fire hazard, because sometimes they're not steady. Sometimes they're not. I know that one time they were using this glue that you would warm this substance up. It would melt and then it would harden, and but it softens with heat. So what happened would be if the candles get down burning to the bottom, it would melt all the
base.
the base of the ceiling contacts of the base, and it could just fall apart, and they still have candles burning there. It could be fall apart and cause a fire hazard. Also, the candles are not very far apart. Sometimes they're too close to each other, and it gets very hot, and they all melted. It could be also a fire hazard, and also sometimes they're too close, and so in terms of halacha, they're not fulfilling the mitzvah really according to halacha if the nares are all too close. So keep your eyes and ears open for those wonderful little menorahs your children or grandchildren come home with.
Mutar va'afilu lo kafa aleha. Yeah, it's permitted. Is that referring to the previous sentence that that it's permitted if it, as long as there's a finger between them?
Right, that's the minimal shear. That's the minimal amount of space you need between each and every candle. If you have that space of a etzba, basically, say a thumb's width, or finger's width. If you have that amount of space between each candle, then you're yotzi. May not be practical all the time, but you'd be it'll be mutter to make a menorah like that.
Va'afilu lo chafa aleha. Even if there is not a kafa is a palm.
That wasn't, they weren't turned, you didn't turn the kli, kaf ala kli. You didn't put the kli on top of them, as we had, that was mentioned in the mechaber previously. Cover it, you have the bowl filled with oil and you have the wicks coming out of all sides of the bowl. It'll help if you cover it with the kafa, with the plate.
But even if you don't do that, it's still mutar.
Right.
V'chein
As long as you're gonna have the etzba in between each snare.
V'chein nohagim, and this is the way we behave. The dafka bikara she'ein shum hefsek bein ner lener. That specifically, it is called that there is not an interruption between each candle.
Right, that's a necessity.
I'm
Right.
sorry?
That kein noigin dafke b'kaira, right? That meaning we only said that you have to put a kli on top of the wicks when you put the wicks all in a bowl together, because there's no hefsek between the nair and the nair. Therefore, you need in that case to cover the kli, the bowl with the oil and the wicks in it, with another kli, another vessel, to make sure that the candles are seen to be distinct and recognizable in and of themselves.
I don't get it. How does covering them make them distinct?
Because you look, you see when you cover it, right? All you're seeing is the lamps themselves, the lights themselves. So it looks as if they are all separate lights, even though they may be coming from the same source of oil, right? But the lights which are covered, when they're distinct, because the fact that you now only are focusing your attention on the wicks that are burning rather than the whole situation of the kli. If you look at the whole kli, the whole bowl filled with oil with different wicks around it, then you see a bowl with wicks in it, that looks like a menorah, that looks like a torch, right? But if you have a kli over it, then you're seeing distinctly each and every candle.
I'm not following. You've got a bowl and it's full of oil, and you put a bunch of wicks in there, and
Right.
they're floating around.
No, they're on the rim. They're on the rim, hanging over the rim of the bowl, and they light them, and the lights are being lit on the rim of the bowl.
Oh,
That's what it is. Yeah, that you would think you're floating wicks. Yeah. That wouldn't work out. You wouldn't be able to. Yeah, that wouldn't work out good.
okay.
Floating, yeah.
All right, I'm with you now. Bifamotos. What is that? Did we read that? Bifamotos?
Yeah, that's the candlesticks.
Ah, candlesticks. With candlesticks, shall nechoshes of copper?
Copper or brass or yeah.
So
Bronze,
you're talking about the
bronze.
candle holder now, right?
Yeah, that's right. Those are the holders which are going to elevate and make distinct the lamps.
Ha'asuyin nakim. What's that?
That you have these candlesticks, which are nechoshes of copper or brass, bronze, asunim kanim, and they're made with different branches. This is like a candelabra. Kanim with different branches. Very similar to the menorah that we have.
Okay, right. Okay, yeah, I think my menorah is made of brass. Yotzin sevivos beigul. And they come out in a round circle.
Right. And what do you do? You have these branches, yotzim sevivos beagul, that they come out around in a circle pattern. Shakanim chalulim umechitzas kol kana mafsik bein ola bein chavero. That you see you have the branches of the candelabra coming out in all different directions, right? And then you have these supports which have a form of mechitza, meaning the branches themselves coming out of the from the menorah actually form as the distinction between one light and the next. Okay.
So that's a description of this this word bifamotos.
Right.
And that's okay or not okay?
It's okay, right? Yeah, it's okay. That is okay.
Okay.
I see our time is up,
Oh, yeah.
so we'll have to return to this tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem.
Okay, thank you so much, Rabbi.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Mayor.
Have
Everyone
a
should
good day.
Good day, and hope to see you all
Safe.
tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem.
Amen.
Okay. Shalom, bye.
Okay, see ya.